Hey everybody, I thought I'd show some jazz. This is kind of for those people out there that are just mainly into jazz. Gary comes to mind, and Carm, and I know there's a whole bunch of you out there that just, are really into jazz as your main thing. I'm not that much into jazz, in the past years, but I'm getting more into it in just the recent years. So these haven't had a listen in quite some time, so I can't provide a lot of input, but I will just go through them and show them if anything comes to mind, what I like about it or whatever. For time constraints, it could take forever to research and deep listening and critical, analyzation of all the stuff like Gary does, but I can't do that. So I'll do the best I can, and I'll just show you what I like and what I've been, for a novice that is out there digging for mainly rock and progressive and soundtracks and, the ultra lounge music and what have you. These are stuff that just came across to me very, very cheaply, and I couldn't resist the price. Most of these were 25 cents to $1. All the stuff I'm going to show you here. Now, some of it that is in shrink wrap was in the $5 range, but very, very little of it, despite what sticker prices might be on here, I got it all very, very cheaply in bundles, I used to go into some local places and help the owner organize all his stuff, alphabetize, 18,000 records that the customers had put in complete disarray. And as a thank you, he would give me boxes of, 500 records. And, they were in varying conditions, most of them pretty good, a lot of it doubles that he just, didn't have room for. They were, strapped on extra space. So most of this jazz here I ended up with just out of chance because the price was low. It looked kind of interesting. Something about it just thought, I thought, well, I'll just go ahead and grab it. What can it hurt? And I ended up liking a lot of the stuff. A lot of it ends up being, highly sought after today. Some of it not so much. It's just kind of a mixed bag of stuff. Some of it contemporary jazz from the later mid 70s to late 80s, and then a lot of it is the modern jazz from about 1950 to about 71, 73, when the sound started to change a bit. So I'll get started here. And I think I'm going to divide this into this first batch I'm going to show here. This is all alphabetical to make it simple, so I don't, it's easier to put back in my rack when I'm through showing it. So it'll always be in alphabetical order here. This is the contemporary and the modern jazz from 1950 to about 1988, 87. And then I'm going to show some of my more Brazilian tinged jazz in a second jazz installment. I'll just title it, and I'll throw in a little bit of the Latin music. It'll be Latin and Brazilian, more exotic type of stuff. So let's get started here. That should be just about the right volume without getting too overbearing. This is John Abercrombie, Timeless. I love this album, love it. When I first heard it, the real fast tracks on here, Lungs and Red and Orange, were played so incredibly fast. I thought, how is it humanly possible for a musician to play this fast? This recording has to have been sped up, but I don't think it was. That's how fast they're playing. But I would have to slow down as low, I think 8 on my pitch on my turntable there. I'd slow it down as low as it could go, and even then it's going a little too fast for my preference. I would like it maybe about 20% slower. But when it's played very slow, I like it more. Very high energy tracks. The rest of them are, you know, your standard fare. Timeless. Timeless is why I got this. I heard this Timeless track on Hearts of Space. Just absolutely loved it. Very deep, floaty, dreamy. You know how I am. And that's why I got this album. But I ended up, the whole thing grew on me. Yeah, love this album. From 1975 on ECM 1047. Here's one that is in not that great a shape, and this was real dirt cheap, probably 25, one of the 25 centers. This came from a local radio station, Oracle, and the title is Glider. Wasn't that crazy about this. Here's one I really liked from 1956 on Bethlehem Records, BCP 6012, the Australian Jazz Quintet at the Varsity Drag. An original press there, got a nice laminated cover, 1956. I really like this one. I just have 2 Chet Baker albums. I used to have one, but traded it for something stupid. This is Chet Baker on, let's see, Pacific Jazz from 1955. I really like that one. And here's another one from about, oh shoot, I'm guessing 59 on this one, just called Chet. Love this one too. Yeah, he loved his women and the women loved him. And he had the ability to sing and play that trumpet beautifully, even after all, you know, his drug use and everything. In his latter years on that documentary, right shortly before he died, at about 58, 59 years old. Yeah, he was great right up until the end. Here's George Benson, Breezin'. Kind of your contemporary, radio-friendly stuff here. And another one, In Flight. I like George Benson. Give Me the Night, and about 2 other big hits of his. I really love Give Me the Night. Here is Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers from, I'm guessing about 55, 56 for this one, maybe 57. Very nice condition. It's on the Columbia 6i CL 1002. Yeah, this is a lot of percussion on this one. Kind of a tribal ethnic sound he's trying to create here. Really like this. Very different. Sort of out of the ordinary. 57 is the year of that one. 57. And from 1958, another, you know, by the way, I love Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers. This is A Night in Tunisia. And this is stereo, electronically reprocessed. And this is, I believe, a reissue from 58. Yeah, there we go. Theory of Art, Night in Tunisia, yeah. Yeah, 1958 has Paul Desmond in here on one of the tracks there. And all these here Dave Brubeck quartets, these all came in at the same time. Some guy that didn't necessarily take the best care of his records donated these. I got these all for 25 cents a piece. Let's see. I'm thinking the first one here is from 53, 54. It's on Fantasy 3-2-10. Paul Desmond. That name rings a bell. I've heard that recently a lot in the vinyl community. I like this one. Jazz at the Black Hawk is the title. Dave Brubeck Quartet featuring Paul Desmond under the personal supervision of Guido Canciante and John Noga. And let's see here, it's on the Red Fantasy label. There we go. And Jazz at the College of the Pacific, Dave Brubeck Quartet featuring Paul Desmond with Ron Crotty and Joe Dodge on Fantasy 3-223. I like that artwork there. Somewhat caricature renderings there. I liked a lot of his covers. I like all these albums, some better than others, but yeah, I love Dave Brubeck Quartet. Here's the label. There we go. No glare. And on Columbia CL566, Jazz Goes to College. Campus concert recordings by the Dave Brubeck Quartet. And I'm thinking this is mid-50s, 55. And here's Columbia CL622, Dave Brubeck's Time. And let's see. Yeah, these all have laminated covers. Some of the laminate is peeling there on this one, just at the edge. There's that label. And Jazz, Red Hot and Cool. The Dave Brubeck Quartet on CL699. That's a cool cover. Very classic shot there. Love that. Nightclub scene. This is the Columbia 6i. And then I have a second copy, which is a little bit better condition. Near mint on this one. Of course, these Columbias came in that plastic and sometimes that wax paper versus the paper, which was probably a lot easier on the record, sliding it in and out, less scratching. There's that one. Yeah, I'd say the one cover there is very good, plus, and then this one's more excellent to near mint. The back cover probably very good, plus. Just has a lot of age stains. You know, the white there starts to just kind of turn a yellowish color after so many decades. And here's Brubeck Plays Brubeck on Columbia CL 878. Probably mid to late 50s here on this one. And Dave Brubeck and Jay and Kai. New York Jazz, or New Jersey Jazz Festival at Newport on Columbia CL 932. It's got a pretty cover. And Jazz Impressions of the USA on Columbia CL 984. And this one has a little, looks like one of those their booth stickers from a seller in a flea market booth. It's got a cool cover. More caricature drawings on there. Really cool. And I'm thinking we're still in the 50s here. Maybe approaching the early 60s, 1960. And then the Dave Brubeck Quartet, Dave Digs Disney on Columbia CL 1059. Yeah, we're in the 60s by now. Old phonograph there. I love those photos of those old phonographs. Really cool. And yep, it's Columbia 6i there. And here's where we start getting into his popularity, where he really got a lot of radio play here with his Take 5 from his Timeout. Yeah. Let's see here. Okay, we got, apparently this one here is a reissue. Yeah. I'll leave that at the back there. I think these were the originals here. Yeah, Timeout. I love that cover. Love, love, love that artwork. That is so cool. Yeah. And I'm thinking this is 58, 59, 62, somewhere in there. I used to have all these memorized, but I've forgotten now. On CL 1397, Columbia 6i. That was a mono. Here's another mono, CL 1397. A little bit more wear on the cover. The guy that donated these had multiple copies of some of these. And then this, I think, is the reissue with the different cover art. And every time they repress or reissue, the dyes and the colors, everything kind of changes hue to just a tad. This has a little bit more of a, I don't know, a purple, peach color in it. Not quite as purpley as the other. Slightly different wording there, design. Yeah, definitely a reissue. 2i. But it's near mint. So I had 3 choices to pick from that album on different songs, which were more or less, you know, snap, crackle, pop. They weren't too bad. Here's a Time Further Out. Yuan Miro, that artist. I always liked his stuff. Kind of a Dali-esque look to it. Called Miro Reflections. There's some of Yuan Miro's work on that cover there. Very characteristic style of Miro. This is Columbia CL 1690. Columbia 6i. Countdown, Time in Outer Space. This is CL 1775. Another cool cover. And that was a mono copy, and here's a stereo. And the stereo is a repress, reissue on 2i. Here's the Bossa Nova USA on stereo 360 degree sound. Columbia CS 8798. Anything Goes on the stereo 360 sound. Columbia, let's see here. Yep, this is a CS 9402, or the mono version would be CL 2602. It's got the shrink on it yet. Near mint for this one. The golden Columbia name repeated ring around the red. Newer design there. The Instant Brubeck. This is a reissue label on Harmony Records, a product of Columbia Records, kind of a budget reissue label from the early 70s, I think. It says formerly on CL 622. Shoot, that'd go back, way back in the 50s. Electronically rechanneled for stereo. Yeah, rechanneled. I know a lot of you aren't fans of that rechanneling. I can handle it on some, others I can't, but as a general rule, I'm not crazy about anything rechanneled or reprocessed. There's the Harmony label design. And I'll end this one here. We're at 23:45. This will be continued in my next installment, the Jazz Part 2. Hope you enjoyed, everybody. Thanks for watching. Take care.